Imagine finding a photo so shocking that even grown-ups say it is too much. Now picture that photo coming from someone who was once America's sweetheart. Sounds wild, right? Well, that is exactly what happened with Ann-Margret. She was beautiful, talented, and loved by millions. But some of her old bikini photos still spark big reactions, and not always good ones. So what made these pictures such a big deal? Were they really that inappropriate? Or was the world just too strict back then? Let us find out what really happened. And trust me, the story is way more than just photos. Ann-Margret was born in Sweden in the year 1941 and moved to the United States when she was a child. She became a famous actress, singer, and dancer in the 1960s. People loved her energy, her voice, and especially her looks. She acted in popular movies like Birdie and Viva Las Vegas with Elvis Presley. Yes, that Elvis Presley. But Ann-Margret was not just a pretty face. She had real talent, and she worked hard to be the best at what she did. Now, back in the 1960s, things were very different. There was no internet, no social media, and people were more strict about what was considered acceptable to show in public. Even a photo of a woman in a bikini could cause a huge reaction. Magazines started printing more and more pictures of actresses in swimsuits to grab attention and sell copies. And yes, Ann-Margret's photos were everywhere. But some of them crossed a line, at least, according to many adults at the time. Ann-Margret did several photo shoots wearing bikinis. Some were for movie promotions, and others were just for magazines. In a few of the photos, the bikinis were very tiny. People complained they showed too much skin, or that the poses were too suggestive. Some parents even banned magazines from their homes because of these photos. One famous photo shows Ann-Margret lying on a beach towel, wearing a shiny, barely there swimsuit. For today's standards, it might not seem like a big deal. But back then, it caused an uproar. Some said the pictures were too adult for even adults. So why did Ann-Margret do them? Ann-Margret was not trying to shock people. She was just doing her job. In Hollywood, actresses were often told to look sexy to stay famous. It was not always their choice. Ann-Margret once said she was trying to balance being herself and doing what the studios wanted. She did not want to upset anyone, but she also did not want to be ignored. Sadly, back then, women were often judged more for their looks than their skills. Some people loved the photos and thought Ann-Margret was brave and confident. Others called her names and said she was setting a bad example. It got so intense that she lost a few job offers. Some movie producers thought she was too much for family audiences. But instead of quitting, Ann-Margret kept working. She proved she was more than a pretty face. She later acted in serious roles and won awards for her performances. Today, we might look at those old bikini photos and wonder what the big deal was. We see much more revealing pictures on social media every day. But back in Ann-Margret's time, things were different. People had strict ideas about how women should dress, behave, and present themselves. So the photos were not just about swimsuits. They were about how society saw women, and what was allowed. Ann-Margret's story teaches us something important. Sometimes, the world judges people too quickly, especially women. She was a smart, hardworking actress who got stuck in the middle of a culture that did not know how to treat her fairly. Those bikini photos? They were just pictures. But the way people reacted says a lot about how confusing fame can be, and how hard it is to be yourself when the world is always watching. So, were Ann-Margret's photos really too inappropriate? Or was she just ahead of her time? We want to hear what you think. Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you found this story interesting, please give this video a like. And if you enjoy hearing untold stories of old Hollywood, be sure to subscribe, because there is much more coming. Thank you for watching, and remember, there is always more to the story than just a photo.